Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 596 based on novel. So let's start. The middle-aged man looked into the distance, and after a long time, he muttered to himself, "I've awakened one calamity early." He lowered his head, looked at the ruins below, and spread out his divine sense. His divine sense was very powerful, so it instantly covered every inch of his continent. He vaguely remembered that a long time ago, he came here and destroyed this place. After killing every living thing here, he absorbed the death aura and remained in closed-door cultivation. According to his calculations, he should have awakened after 5 calamities, but now he had awakened 1 calamity ahead. The aura that shook my heart from the bottom of my soul and made me awaken early came from that direction. It is the aura of the same kind. Could it be that a similar existence was born? The man silently pondered. He vaguely had some memories of what lied in the direction that the aura came from. That place should be where the guardian is, the middle-aged man thought for a moment and then slowly stood up. When he stood up, a ghostly light shined and a black robe appeared. The black robe covered his face, leaving only the shockingly long hair that penetrated the robe through a special method hanging there. He walked toward the sky, the long hair behind him looking like a black dragon. As he gradually flew through the sky, the figure of a black dragon appeared, making it seem as if this man was a black dragon. He flew in the direction of the immortal astral continent that was extremely far away from this place. At his speed, it would take hundreds of years to reach the immortal astral continent. In the depths of the Green Scorpion Temple in the Green Devil continent, Wang Lin looked at the 3 ethereal essences before him. His hands formed a seal and he pointed forward. With this, the 3 ethereal essences began to gather and slowly fused. These 3 ethereal essences were not gained through external means, but were born from his own domains and comprehension. For these 3 essences to be born, a bud formed during his first mortal transformation, then it grew during his second mortal transformation, and it finally reached completion in his third mortal transformation. Life and death, karma, and true and false reacted to each other and changed each other. They slowly fused before Wang Lin. In the life and death essence, Wang Lin saw planet Suzaku and 3 generations of Daimyo's family. In the karma essence, Wang Lin saw Liu Mai, he saw Wang Ping, and he saw himself being a father. In the true and false essence, he saw Su Dao, the dream of 60 years, and many familiar faces. These 3 ethereal essences were no longer just essences to Wang Lin. They were his life of defying the heavens. I used the life and death essence to leave mortality, I used the karma essence to obtain Dao, and I used the true and false essence to comprehend. In life and death, my chaotic thoughts gave birth to karma. In this karma, I continued to confirm my Dao. In the end, between true and false, I searched for where my Dao was. After life and death was karma, after karma was true and false, and after true and false it is to enter Tao. The fusion of the 3 ethereal essence is no difficult. They were born because of me, formed because of me, and will fuse because of me. As Wang Lin murmured, he waved his right hand. The 3 ethereal essences before him quickly started to rotate and fused with each other. As they fused, he looked at his essences. Inside, he saw everything from his birth until this moment in his life. He saw himself kneeling before his parents' grave, roaring at the sky while filled with tears. He saw himself holding Li Muwen's body and roaring at the sky. As Li Muwen closed her eyes, her tears dripped from the corners of her eyes and landed on the ground. He faintly saw that a year later, a dreamlike flower bloomed where the tears had landed. He saw himself when learned that Liu Mai had given birth to his child. He saw himself looking at the child that was filled with resentment and cough out blood from the pain of his heart dying. He saw Li Qianmai wiping blood and tears on his statue during those 10 years. Then he saw all the, did you know, from all the strangers. My entire life, Wang Lin let out a sigh. His face seemed to age as the 3 ethereal essences fused. Time passed by. As Wang Lin recounted his own memories, the 3 ethereal essences silently fused together. The fusion of the 3 essences turned into a line that was filled with Wang Lin's memories. This line formed a ring and was imprinted on his forehead. The moment the ring imprinted, the reminiscence in Wang Lin's eyes disappeared and was replaced with a golden light. In this golden light, Wang Lin's cultivation level increased once more. When his cultivation level increased, the power of that was intended for the Green Devil Scorpion was absorbed by him. Even the large portion of the Green Devil Scorpion soul that Wang Lin had devoured after the failed possession was absorbed by Wang Lin's origin soul. But this was not enough. This much power of the world could only make Wang Lin's cultivation level become infinitely close to peak arcane void. It was not enough to break through and enter arcane turbulent to face the arrival of the 9 arcane turbulents. He still needed more power of the world. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he opened his mouth without hesitation to inhale. As he inhaled, power of the world rushed into the Scorpion Temple, and even the fog outside was pulled in, forming a huge vortex. This became a heavenly phenomenon. This sudden change caught the attention of all the cultivators on the Green Devil continent. The battle between the Green Devil continent and the Heavenly Bull continent had reached its end. After a large amount of cultivators had died, there weren't many cultivators left on the Green Devil continent. But those that remained were all powerful cultivators. In particular, although countless disciples had died, the Devil Dao sect still had nearly 30% of their sect remaining. However, their sect master had gone into closed-door cultivation more than 100 years ago and hadn't come out yet. At this moment, the huge change happening at the Green Devil Scorpion Temple at the center of the Green Devil continent was felt by the cultivators of various sects on the Green Devil continent. Anyone who could feel it knew or heard of the rumor of the Green Devil being revived. At this moment, more than 10 rays of light rushed toward the Green Devil Scorpion Temple. There were also 2 rays of light from the Devil Dao sect as well to witness the resurrection of the Green Devil Scorpion. The phenomenon around the Green Scorpion Temple lasted for several months. During this time, a large amount of power of the world gathered toward this location like crazy. Those cultivators who came didn't dare to get close, they only observed from the edge of the phenomenon. They retreated as the phenomenon expanded. All of this power of the world rushed into Wang Lin's body during these several months, and his cultivation level continued to become higher. On a day, after several months, his cultivation suddenly erupted and thunderous rumbles echoed inside his body. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, his cultivation level increased from late-stage arcane void to peak arcane void. This fluctuation of cultivation was hidden under the surge of power of the world. The Green Devil continent cultivators also didn't dare to spread out their divine senses, in fear of affecting the resurrection of the Green Devil Scorpion. They couldn't bear the anger of the Green Devil Scorpion, so no one noticed anything. When Wang Lin reached the peak of arcane void, he opened his eyes and revealed a terrifyingly cold gaze. He waved his right hand and the 5-element essence true body fused with his body. When this happened, Wang Lin's power increased several-fold. Shortly after, he waved his right hand and the terrifying thunder essence true body walked forward. It overlapped with Wang Lin's body, and as thunder cracked and popped, it fused with Wang Lin, becoming part of his body. The moment the thunder essence true body returned, Wang Lin's body erupted with a shocking aura. He felt his own strength increase. At this moment, he could battle against late-stage void turbulent cultivators even without the Heavenly Bull soul armor. This was still on the premise that he didn't use the Slaughter Thunder. Once he risked using the terrifying Slaughter Thunder, not even he knew how destructive that power would be. That thunder was something he had inadvertently created, and he could not control it. This powerful feeling gave him a powerful sense of faith in himself. This changed his temperament and would shock all those who faced him before he even attacked. Wang Lin stood up with his hands behind his back and looked up. His gaze could penetrate the Scorpion Temple and see the sky above. His divine sense spread out and he saw the entire Scorpion Temple. Yunifeng's group of 3 was no longer there. Apparently, they had stayed for too long and no longer dared to stay any longer. This was no longer important. To Wang Lin, Edge Cloud was merely a cloud of smoke from the past. What he needed to face now was the 9 arcane turbulence. If I can pass through the 9 arcane turbulence in one go and reach Void Turbulent, I'll destroy the entire Devil Dao sect. Even late-stage Void Turbulent cultivators will be destroyed to repay for the 100-year fortune. There was a coldness in Wang Lin's eyes and he was filled with a powerful killing intent. Looking up, Wang Lin was waiting. Waiting for the arcane turbulence that would turn him into a void turbulent cultivator to arrive. He had never seen any arcane turbulence, but he was confident enough to stand high above and see the beauty of the arcane turbulence. Since ancient times, everyone who was qualified to face arcane turbulence were all extremely cautious and nervous. Even Grand Empireans were like this before they became Grand Empireans. People like Wang Lin were extremely rare. Arcane Turbulent was a metamorphosis between Arcane Void and Void Turbulent. It was different from Divine Tribulation, which only used forms of thunder. Instead, it used a special method to cause each collapse for a cultivator. If one couldn't pass an Arcane Turbulent, they would die. Many Arcane Void cultivators feared the Arcane Turbulence. Many would rather stay in the Arcane Void stage rather than face the terrifying Arcane Turbulence. Like how Dao Master Blue Dream stayed at peak Arcane Void for a long time and still hadn't stepped into the Arcane Turbulent stage. Once you entered Arcane Turbulent, it was like facing 9 life or death situations. Not everyone had this kind of courage. Most Arcane Turbulent cultivators spent thousands of years, or even longer, to slowly pass each one. They were not confident enough to pass through 9 at once. Whenever they felt like it was going bad, they would stop it by force and not seek the fortune within the Arcane Turbulent. Arcane Turbulent was a calamity but also a fortune. If one passed through 3 in a row, their origin soul would double in size. Those that could pass through 6 in a row would see their origin soul triple in size. Those that passed all 9 in a row would have their origin soul increased several fold. As for exactly how much, no one knew because only 2 people had ever managed to do it, and both became Grand Empireans later on. If they didn't divulge, no one would know. However, this revealed how dangerous it was. Rumor had it that these 2 Grand Empireans were seriously injured after passing all 9 Arcane Turbulents and went into closed-door cultivation for a long time. If ordinary cultivators could pass through 6 Arcane Turbulents in a row, they would become extremely powerful at the early stage of Void Turbulent. Ignoring treasures, they could battle mid-stage Void Turbulent and not lose. However, it was very rare for people to obtain this fortune. To pass it 9 times in a row and passing it 9 times over thousands of years was completely different. Arcane Turbulents were extremely strange. Outsiders could not help, it all depended on oneself. Du Qing had passed several Arcane Turbulents, but he went through them separately, with each one becoming increasingly more difficult. It was likely he would be stuck for his entire life. However, it was not without hope. After all, he still had a certain amount of time to prepare. It wasn't much, but it was much better than going through them all at once. However, the later it becomes, the more of a test of life and death it becomes, and it eventually becomes a nightmare for people. Once you enter the Arcane Turbulent stage, even if you don't want to go through them, they will still come. It becomes a sign of death. On the immortal astral continent, someone had calculated the odds, and although it wasn't for certain, the first Arcane Turbulent had 10% chance of death. This number would increase until the 9th Arcane Turbulent, where there was a 90% chance of death. Based on this, passing through 9 Arcane Turbulents at once not only required strength, but also a certain amount of luck. Wang Lin was standing in the depths of the Scorpion building, and he was calm. He stepped forward and disappeared from inside the temple. When he reappeared, he was on the top of the tail of the Scorpion. His head of white hair fluttered as if he was going to fly away with the wind. He stood there, waiting for the arrival of the Arcane Turbulence. Arcane Turbulent, how will it arrive? I'm looking forward to it. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He had the confidence to face any Arcane Turbulent. His cultivated cycled faster and faster until his body gave off his peak Arcane Void aura. This aura gathered in his body until it erupted like a storm and shot into the sky. This aura seemed to fuse with the heavens and formed a shocking storm. The moment the storm appeared, it formed an invisible pressure and swept out with Wang Lin as the center. It instantly covered hundreds of kilometers and continued to spread. In these hundreds of kilometers, all living beings had to retreat from the pressure, and they weren't allowed to take half a step inside. This was an Arcane Turbulent. Once a cultivator decided to go through an Arcane Turbulent, no one could be around to help. The pressure continued to spread, reaching thousands of kilometers in width. It slowly closed in on the dozen or so Green Devil continent cultivators who had come to see the resurrection of the Green Devil scorpion. The expressions of these cultivators changed one by one. They didn't even need to use their divine senses to know that this meant that someone was going through an arcane turbulent. Arcane turbulent? This? How could the pressure of an arcane turbulent appear here? Could it be that Lord Green Devil's cultivation level dropped after resurrecting and he now has to go through arcane turbulence to recover? Lord Green Devil was personally suppressed by the celestial ancestor, which means his cultivation level was extremely high. However, he was suppressed for far too long and perhaps his cultivation level has really fallen a lot. The more than a dozen cultivators from the Green Devil continent all had their own thoughts and retreated from the pressure. They looked toward the temple, but their divine senses couldn't go too far into the pressure, so they couldn't see what was happening inside. As the pressure spread out thousands of kilometers, at the center, Wang Lin stood on the tail of the Scorpion Temple and looked up at the sky. He saw snowflakes suddenly appear in the sky. These snowflakes were white. Soon, they covered the sky, forming a curtain that surrounded the area. Snow? Wang Lin looked over. More and more snow appeared until it occupied the entire world and became the only thing floating in the sky within thousands of kilometers. As it fell, a cold aura spread out and a large amount of snow covered the ground. The moment the snow appeared, the more than a dozen cultivators from the Green Devil continent felt the coldness. They saw the floating snowflakes within. His first arcane turbulent is snow. This is rare. There are a total of 9 arcane turbulents. The first 3 are external, then the next 3 are internal, and the final 3 are soul. Let's see how Lord Green Devil will get through this snow arcane turbulent. Wang Lin looked at the snow with a calm expression. He didn't immediately act but watched as the snow descended. The snow became more and more dense, and it became even colder here. Not long after, the snow suddenly gathered as if time had been frozen. The countless snowflakes seemed to turn into sharp snow blades, and they rushed toward Wang Lin from all directions. They instantly closed in. Is this the first arcane turbulent? Wang Lin shook his head. There was disappointment in his eyes. He raised his right hand and waved at the incoming snow. With this wave, his 5-element true body moved. An overlapping shadow appeared as it walked out of Wang Lin's body. The moment the 5-element true body walked out, Wang Lin sat down on the tail of the huge scorpion. He waved his right hand and a jug of wine appeared in his hand. This jug was from a mortal city in the Heavenly Bull continent. He brought the jug next to his mouth and drank a big mouthful. His figure revealed a sense of bleakness as he sat there with his white hair hanging. His appearance revealed a hint of similarity to the black-robed middle-aged man who was sitting on the broken statue far from the immortal astral continent. Lonely, bleak, and indifferent. The 5-element true body walked out and released a monstrous sea of fire. The sea of fire turned into 99 fire dragons that rushed out and collided with the endless snowflakes. At this instant, thunderous rumbles echoed. Although the snowflake was sharp and cold, it was nothing before Wang Lin's fire-element true body. Large amounts of white gas appeared as the snowflakes melted, and in the blink of an eye, it filled the area. The 99 fire dragons gathered into one fire dragon as all the snow melted. It contained intense heat and fire as it flew into the sky. It was like a sharp sword that pierced the sky and burned the heavens. As it burned, the first arcane turbulent collapsed directly. Wang Lin took a sip of wine and shook his head as he muttered, "Too weak." The sky suddenly trembled and shook violently. A powerful wind howled and 9 shocking storms appeared in the sky. These 9 storms were 9 tornadoes that swept across the sky, causing the sea of fire to spread and thin until only the 9 storms remained. An extremely powerful force came from these 9 tornadoes, and the howling of the wind became the only sound in the world. This howling of the wind echoed as the 9 tornadoes rushed toward Wang Lin. They contained a powerful tearing force as if they wanted to tear his body apart. In a flash, the first tornado suddenly closed in. The 5-element true body didn't move, it just coldly stood behind Wang Lin. It watched as the tornado closed in and shrouded Wang Lin's body. The wind wrapped around Wang Lin and rotated like crazy. Large amounts of force wrapped around him as the thunderous howling echoed. However, Wang Lin still sat on the tail of the scorpion drinking wine as his clothes and hair fluttered in the wind, and his expression remained the same. He continued to drink wine as the second, third, fourth, until all 9 tornadoes gathered into one giant tornado that connected to the heavens around him. It was only at this moment that Wang Lin raised his head. Still, too weak. Wang Lin shook his head. He didn't know how others passed their arcane turbulence, but the snow couldn't break through his essence true body and this wind could not break through his physical strength. Even if this wind continued for hundreds of years, it would not be able to tear apart his current body. His body was not the same as before. After the enhancements given to him by the green-robed old man, his body was extremely strong and resilient. This kind of toughness and strength couldn't be affected by the wind at all. Wang Lin raised his left hand and reached toward the tornado around his body. He casually tore it. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and under Wang Lin's tearing force, the layers of tornadoes collapsed from the first layer directly to the 9th layer. All 9 tornadoes exploded and disappeared. The wind scattered. Wang Lin continued sitting there, drinking wine. The 5-element true body stood behind him, coldly looking at the sky. The sky was dark like a gloomy face. Soon, a turbulent cloud filled the sky. Thunderous rumbles filled the clouds as bolts of thunder moved through the sky, lighting up the earth below. The Green Devil continent cultivators thousands of kilometers away had witnessed the completion of the snow and wind turbulence. They were completely silent now. The sound of thunder became even more intense, and even more turbulent clouds appeared, covering the sky. They pressed down and even more lightning moved within. The clouds revealed a sense of madness and violence. However, none of this moved Wang Lin. He calmly drank wine and looked at the clouds and thunder in the sky. He suddenly laughed. Thunder? Wang Lin looked at the clouds and thunder in the sky again. He shook his head and drank a sip of wine. As he shook his head, thunderous rumbles came from the clouds in the sky. As the clouds moved, a bolt of thunder that was connected to the heavens descended on Wang Lin. This bolt of thunder contained shocking power and closed in the blink of an eye in an attempt to kill Wang Lin. Do you dare? Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and roared. His roar was beyond the sound of thunder and suppressed the thunderous rumbles from the turbulent clouds. The will of thunder erupted from Wang Lin's body. This was the will of the Lord of Thunder. The thunder that was about to descend suddenly trembled and retreated when it was 1,000 feet from Wang Lin, as if it was afraid. Not only did it not attack Wang Lin, it actually charged toward the turbulent clouds. Since my thunder essence reached completion, only I can bring thunder down on others. Wang Lin raised his left hand and reached toward the clouds. The clouds trembled and released a roar as if they could not bear the pressure. All the thunder inside flew out toward Wang Lin. The endless thunder gathered before Wang Lin's left hand and formed a ball of thunder. Wang Lin waved his left hand and the ball of thunder flew into the sky and collided with the turbulent cloud. A thunderous rumble shook the world and the turbulent clouds collapsed without any resistance. The darkness that covered the world instantly disappeared. The third arcane turbulent collapsed. Thousands of kilometers away, the more than a dozen of Green Devil continent cultivators could not see Wang Lin, but they could feel how easily the 3 arcane turbulents were passed. It was simple beyond belief. The power of these 3 arcane turbulents was ordinary, and any cultivator who had the courage could pass them. However, doing so would still take some time, and one would have to consume a lot of energy to pass the 3 arcane turbulents in a route to obtain the reward of their origin soul doubling in size. However, it was simply too rare for someone to get through so easily. It must be Lord Green Devil. Otherwise, it would be impossible for anyone else to do this. With Lord Green Devil's cultivation level, he has already experienced arcane turbulence. That's why he can be so relaxed while facing them again now. The Green Devil continent cultivators revealed respect. They looked into the area covered in the arcane turbulent pressure, waiting for Lord Green Devil to walk out. Wang Lin was still sitting on the tail of the scorpion and looking at the sky. The last 3 arcane turbulents had disappointed him. He now waited for the arrival of the fourth arcane tribulant and wanted to see if this one would shine. Wang Lin was using his calmness to watch the beauty of the arcane tribulants. What kind of arcane tribulant will the fourth one be? Wang Lin took a sip of wine. Just at this moment, countless ripples appeared in the calm sky. This ripple spread and soon covered the sky. Then a pressure spread out and shrouded the area. A giant drum 10,000 feet large descended from the sky. The two sides of the drum were made of unknown materials. It made no sound as it descended, but it gave off an ancient aura. The moment the drum appeared, Wang Lin looked over while holding the wine jug. A little interesting, as he muttered this, there was a flash of light in his eyes. At the same time, the sound of the drum echoed as if an invisible force had collided with it. It was as if countless people were beating the drum from different directions, creating a sound wave. The moment the sound from the drum echoed, Wang Lin's flesh, blood, bones, and meridians all trembled. He clearly felt that the sound of the drum was not coming from the surface of the drum, but from his own body. This caused the light in Wang Lin's eyes to become even stronger. As the drum echoed, he felt an itching feeling spread throughout his body. At this moment, his body couldn't move due to the vibrations from the drum. Just as the drum sound echoed through Wang Lin's body, a large amount of fog gathered to form a huge fog sword. This sword looked like an illusion, as if it didn't exist, but the moment it appeared, it released a monstrous killing intent. The killing intent spread through the sword, and as the sword rose into the air, the killing intent became even stronger. Then the sword directly chopped down toward Wang Lin's head. This sword wasn't cutting Wang Lin's body, nor his origin soul or soul. It was going to cut the connection between his body and his origin soul and soul. Once severed, his soul and origin soul could never return to his body again. This sword affected the bloodline, which would make it so his soul and body would be like water and fire. This would force the soul and origin soul to stay away from the body. This was the first of the internal tribulants, the separation tribulant. The drum was the key. The moment it appeared, it indicated that the three internal arcane tribulants would begin. This tribulant was very strange, and since ancient times, too many cultivators had died to it. Once the origin soul and soul were forced out, the body would collapse to the sound of the drum. The soul and origin soul would then dissipate to the sound of the drum. The fog sword was silent, but the killing intent surged like black smoke as it charged toward Wang Lin. Over the countless years, countless cultivators had fallen to this sword and had the connection between their soul and their body severed. Now this sword appeared once more and chopped down on Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't know that most cultivators who had passed the three internal arcane tribulants had prepared for a long time before they dared to attempt them. They all went through one at a time as they carefully searched for the slim chance of survival. At this moment, the sound of the drum limited Wang Lin's body, but it could not stop Wang Lin's heartbeat. He didn't know how others countered this arcane tribulant, but he had his own method. His heartbeat accelerated and echoed like thunder. The sound of his heartbeat countered the sound of the drum, and he immediately regained the power to move. The moment he was able to move again, the fog sword was closing in. Wang Lin calmly let go of the wine jug in his right hand. He raised his right palm and the bone-like yin blade suddenly appeared. The blade gave off a cold aura, as if it came from the depths of hell. "Good, come." Wang Lin smiled and didn't even get up. He held up the yin blade and swept at the incoming fog sword. The sword and blade instantly collided, causing thunderous rumbles to echo. The fog sword trembled violently, then countless cracks appeared on it and it collapsed. The killing intent from the sword seemed unwilling to back down and rushed forward to devour Wang Lin. At this moment, the killing intent far more powerful than the killing intent from the fog sword erupted from Wang Lin's body. It instantly devoured the killing intent from the fog sword and rushed into the sky. This killing intent seemed to have spirit, as it collapsed and retreated as if it didn't dare to face Wang Lin's killing intent. It then quickly dissipated. The first of the three internal arcane tribulants collapsed. As the killing intent scattered, the second shocking beat came from the drum in the sky. This sound was several times more intense than the one before, and it caused sound waves to spread out. It was like a war drum launching the sound to destroy the world. The moment the sound rang out, Wine Lin's body stood up for the first time. His left hand grabbed the wine jug he had released and he drank a mouthful. Then he charged into the sky. I'll destroy this drum. Let's see what else the arcane tribulants have left after that. This video will end here.